Sup, you sexy bitches? My name is Sterling and welcome to the channel. This is where we like to read some of the best and most upvoted stories on Reddit. Today's stories come from r/NuclearRevenge. And in one story, OP sends his ex-girlfriend to jail for 37 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fines. And in another story, OP gets 3/4 of the staff at her college, the teachers at her college, arrested because they're all embezzling, including the dean. It's a fantastic tale. Let's get into them. Our first story is by Perfect Hamburger 812. Steal my money, take my house, put me into debt. Now it was time for me to ruin your life. My ex stole close to 90,000 euros, which I saved up for 9 years. And when I took her to court, I lost due to lack of evidence. At the moment, I felt destroyed and lost it all. She even sued me for emotional damages and I had to pay 55,000 euros. So I was forced to sell my house and take a big loan from the bank. I started friends and helped me find some good lawyers. And we just found an amazing one. In one day, he helped me so much, I even got the info of who took money from my bank account. Something was wrong. 29th of June, a transaction happened in my name. I never made it. I was not in the country at the time. Well, would you look at that? I was ready to get back into court when I found out she bought my house. Well, I have a safe that I never told her about hidden in the bathroom behind the cabinets. Well, she ruined my life, why not ruin hers even more? So I had it accomplished by some drugs, worth about 400 euros, and used a friend to hide it there. The safe has a 4-digit code, that being 0000. Never got to change it to something else. And before taking her to court again, I had the same friend who hid the drugs turn her in. It took about a week for the cop to receive a mandate to search the house. They found nothing in the first 2 hours, and they wouldn't if my friend forgot to leave the safe door open. That 400 euro of drugs are equal to 5k euro fine and 12 years in prison. Well, I'm not done yet. Court time again. I had my lawyer get the footage from the money from the bank that was transferred, and also I had a document showing that I was not in the country at that time. We also found out the account of which the money was sent to. The name was of that of my ex. Well, look how the tables have turned. My lawyer also demanded payment for emotional damages, all the money that was stolen, the house, and also money equivalent to 2 times the debt I had in the bank, which was equal to about 140,000 euros. The look on her face when everything came down crashing on her was totally worth it. And on top of the 12 years from drug possession, she received an additional 25 years for theft and false testimony. Enjoy it, bitch! Wow! That is the most complete tables have turned upset of situation that I have ever come across. That was beautifully done, OP. Congratulations to you. But just imagine being this woman, thinking that she got away with it, got a house, got like 100 grand, and she was just about to win the whole shebang, and then all of a sudden, bam! Tables are turned. She's got to go to prison for 37 years, and then she's got to pay a fuck ton of money back. Oh my god. Good for you, OP. Hats off to you. Well done. Our next story is by Adele1. Favorite teacher gets wrongfully fired, so I get 3/4 of the staff arrested. I'll start off by saying this happened to my sister, and the actions taken were hers. My sister has always gotten along very well with her teachers, and has a habit of forming actual friendships with them, to the point that she still talks to her 5th grade English teacher, along with many others, decades later. This happened about 15 years ago. My sister was a student at Job Corps, a government-run live on-campus vocational training program, studying hotel-motel management. She got on extremely well with her hotel/motel management teacher, better than pretty much every teacher she had had up to that point. One day, the teacher goes to the center's dean's office and walks in on a paper shredding session. Turns out that there was some pretty major embezzling happening at the center, as more than 60% of the funds to the center were being stolen. The teacher was appalled, and despite some rather lucrative offers made, refused to join in on these acts. Less than a year later, the teacher was fired on trumped-up reasons. This was especially bad given that the teacher was only 2 years away from retiring, and being fired lost her retirement package. Needless to say, my sister was pissed. Knowing how things typically work, and that almost any report she tried to make would just be swept under the rug, if it was taken seriously at all, she came up with a plan, and took things nuclear. Over the next month or two, my sister managed to gather some basic evidence of the embezzling. Nothing concrete, but enough to warrant considerable investigation by the authorities. She took the little evidence she was able to gather, along with a story of what happened to her teacher, and sent the info to an email to the Jobs Corp regional director. Now, like I said, She knew that her email would likely be ignored, or even the event swept under the rug, so she got smart. The email was CC'd to every single major person in the Jobs Corps chain of command, all the way up to the national director, as well as to anyone tangentially related to the Job Corps in upper echelons of the development of labor, and every member of Congress, as well as the US President's office. Remember, this was a government-run program. All in all, the email was sent to over 2,000 people. Basically, she not only sent the report, but sent it in such a way that everyone who got it could also see everyone else who got it. And she sent it to way more people than would be needed to ensure the issue couldn't be swept under the rug. 2 weeks later, after the investigation finished, never seen the government work so fast on anything that wasn't collecting owed taxes, only 5 or 6 of the staff members out of the 20 that worked at the center still had their jobs, and at least 5 of the ones fired, including the dean, were facing major criminal charges, with the rest facing minor charges. I'm not sure on the exact figure on how much was stolen, but it was well into the 7 figures. The embezzling had been happening for years. The teacher got a very nice severance package post-investigation. It was 3 years of pay, her full retirement package, and signing an NDA. Though she didn't get her job back, my sister was given her completion certificate despite not having finished the requirements of the course. They wanted her gone, but couldn't kick her out. That's some pretty damn good nuclear revenge. That teacher must have been so happy. Like, getting a call, like, hey, this is what's been happening at the school. We now know about it. It is public. Here's your severance pay and all this. Like, don't worry, you're going to be taken care of. Don't get a job at Walmart just yet. So good for you, OP, for helping that teacher out. That is absolutely amazing. Definitely needed it at that time. You are an absolute hero. Our next story is by Layla Anis. I wanted my father to understand I wasn't coming. My parents divorced when I was in 1st grade. Not only did my dad disappear like Houdini, he stole my mother's ATM card to her personal account and drained her dry. My mother, being the saint she is, didn't even bat an eye. She is still cordial with him and never said a negative word about him. To me, my dad, albeit abandoning us, was still my hero. From 1st to 5th grade, I had the usual abandon my dad stories. Maybe 1 or 2 visits a year and 50 times of me waiting by the front window with my suitcase packed to go to his house and him never showing up. My mom through all of this was supportive and never said an ill word about him, so he still stayed my hero. When I was in 6th grade, my mother finally remarried, and my father, who only had a picture of me when I was 8 months old in his wallet, went ballistic. Did I mention he never paid child support? He would use his father's social, they had the same name, to get away with it. After my mom remarried, he let it known that I was now my stepdad's responsibility. He cut off communication with me until I graduated high school. He didn't attend my graduation or send a card. What he did do was write me an email thanking God he no longer had to pay child support. He didn't anyway. What really broke me was his ruthless and brutal attack on my mother, attacking her weight, looks, teeth, and blaming any perceived negative traits that I had on her. For the first time, I realized what a cowardly piece of shit he was. I responded in kind. He told me that I was no child of his and that I was a waste. And after that, I vowed to hurt him. 10 years later, my father, not interested in my wedding or my son, reached out to me. You see, he's a diabetic, and one of his organs were failing, and he didn't have long. He's so far down on the list, he needed someone in our family to donate. NuclearRevenge activated. I answered his email. I met up with him and pretended I didn't hate his guts. I went on and got tested to see if I was a match. I was. Did the therapy and met with the doctors and the therapist. We scheduled the surgery. The day of the surgery, we met at the hospital. I smiled in his face and let him know that I wouldn't be going through with the surgery. I watched the confusion line his face. I just wanted you to know that you're no father to me and you're a waste. I left the hospital and drove home. My mom was pretty annoyed with me that I took it that far. My father's dying and I will be attending his funeral out of spite, and I will be letting everyone know what a piece of shit he was. God damn, OP, that is some cold-hearted nuclear revenge. Whoo! Don't get on your bad side. But I totally understand, like, having your dad say that to you, that you're not his kid and you're a waste, that's pretty fucked up. I mean, I love my daughter. I mean, I'm separated and I try and see her as much as I can. I freaking adore my daughter. She's amazing. I couldn't imagine not wanting to hang out with her. Like, that is so messed up to me that there's a lot of guys out there that just don't want to hang out with their kids or spend time with them after getting separated. Like, that is messed up. OP does have a couple updates here. For those questioning my actions, I will give further detail. My father is semi-obsessed with my mother. His attachment to us was only in his perceived ability to get back with my mother. In the beginning, he would call and make plans to see us and just not show up. My mom would have to make up excuses. He has been married 4 times and supports and loves his stepkids without a thought to us. Once my mother remarried, he was done with us. He kept in contact with my mother through email, but he had no interest in talking to his children. I've reached out to him before to invite him to my graduations, to let him know of my marriage and that he was a grandfather. All I got back was a picture of his new wife's kiddos. Upon getting to know him after agreeing to donate, I went to one of his therapy sessions at his request. There I heard the story of the true reason he contacted me. I listened as he lamented about his impending death, how he's resigned to his fate, only to have his new wife remind him of his former kids and maybe one of them will donate. And he got excited because he had forgotten all about us. And it was like hopes renewed. What the fuck? What a douche! Do you know how shitty it is to listen to the person who's responsible for your very existence talk about forgetting your very existence? Like I was a pair of sturdy old boots that gathered dust in the back of the hall closet. Now rediscovered, I was born to go shovel shit. I knew then I wasn't going to give him anything. Edit 2. I'm not worried about a will or being left anything. He had nothing to leave. He's the male equivalent of a gold digger. He only marries women who can take care and support him as he mooches off them. He stole thousands from my mother, and she didn't press charges because she didn't want her children's father in jail. My mother was his first wife, and he learned the lesson to not have his own kids, but to move into ready-made families. His ex-wife and their children have nothing nice to say about him. When I told him I wasn't going to go through with it, he understood exactly why. He nodded his head in understanding. I was already approached for money to contribute to the funeral and will. You know, that's kind of funny that your dad was just like, yup, you know what? Not even going to begrudge you a little bit. I totally understand why it is that you're just resigning me to my fate because, yup, I was a shitty dad. Because, yup, you sure fucking were. That was r/NuclearRevenge. Hit the subscribe button and the bell to see more videos. Later, everyone.
Someone in the streets out here.